Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Homage to the Blessed One, the Worthy One, the Supremely Enlightened One. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Alright, now you can pause your breathing meditation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Now, please remain calm and relaxed. We are going to do the loving kindness meditation also. Listen and think to yourself this way. We are going to cultivate positive thoughts of loving kindness to our life and to all the other people around us. May I be free from anger. May I be free from ill will. May I be free from jealousy. May I be free from mental suffering. May I be free from physical suffering. May I live in peace. May I live happily. As I wish for myself, may everyone in this place be free from anger, be free from ill will. Be free from jealousy. Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live happily. May everyone in this city be free from anger. Be free from ill will. Be free from jealousy. Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live happily. May everyone in this province be free from anger. Be free from ill will. Be free from jealousy. Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live happily. May everyone in this country be free from anger. Be free from ill will. Be free from jealousy. Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live happily. May everyone in this world be free from anger. Be free from jealousy. Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live happily. May everyone be free from anger. Be free from ill will. Be free from jealousy. Be free from mental suffering. Be free from physical suffering. May they live in peace. May they live happily. May they live happily. May they live happily. May they live happily. 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 Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. All right, now you can open your eyes. Okay, now you can do some stretchings. You can do some relaxing before we go to the Dhamma talk. Okay, I hope you remember our last week Dhamma discussion, the Sutta teaching. And I asked my friends to read that Sutta. Okay, so let's continue that Sutta from that part where we stopped. Actually, it was among the Buddha and a group of Brahmins, and they were studying about they were discussing about some uh, things about the wisdom and how to reveal the truth and how to discover the truth from our lives. Okay, let's go and let's see the sutta. My friends, you see the screen?
Yes, Bhante.
Okay, there was this carpenter, the young man. He was very well qualified with the Brahmin teachings, said to be that possess deep knowledge about their philosophy. And in that moment, so that carpenter, the young man said that the Brahmin teachers have taught them about the teachings um, based on the faith and also based on the oral transmission. And especially it is said that they claim that this is the only truth and every other things are false. In that moment, Buddha asked about the faith, and there Buddha says actually when you are going to understand something, when we are going to discover the truth from in within, there are some things that we normally rely on, and we take them as to be the truth, but still that we might not attain the truth. So this means actually when it comes to a spiritual teaching, when it comes to some kind of a practice, whether it is mindfulness or understanding impermanence or loving kindness or whatever, that when we are going to discover that in within, which means literally, which means when we practice, normally before that we discover that inside, that we normally uh, rely on these things. For an example, let's say someone were to tell us that there is impermanence in within us. Normally, we rely on the faith. Faith means the trust on the teacher, and then we accept that. Or else, we might go to the endorsement. Endorsement here means the ruchi. Ruchi can be the preference, choice, liking. Normally, that we have our own preference to kind of a topic, a kind of a teaching. Let's say that I prefer that, I love that, or that I have likeness to that teaching on impermanence, so I would take that. That is the endorsement. It is the kind of the belief. So normally we get the belief over that teaching. And or else it can be oral transmission, which means that information can travel through the oral transmission, that a teacher teaches to the student teaches to the friends or the other people. So oral transmissioning. And again, it can be recent train of thought. It's a kind of a typical conversation. This can be a little bit deep and mostly philosophical side of the Buddhism. This can be like based on that. But don't worry, this is actually talking about our own life, something that is visible in ourselves. All we need is the patience to understand what is actually here Buddha try to explain, try to say. So we rely on faith, or else we go to the endorsement, which means the ruchi, which means the likeness, or we might based on the oral transmission about the teachings, or it can be recent train of thought, which means that we might um, take up some information through the senses, and then we make a kind of a rationality, and then we create a kind of a thought about the impermanence or about the whatever the teaching. So we reason, we rely on the recent train of thought. It's just a product of our reasoning. So that is also something that we can based on, we can rely on before we go to the truth, before we go to discover the true nature. And next, Buddha says, an acceptance of a view after deliberation, which means that we normally accept a sort of a view by deliberately, like deliberation. Ditti nijjhana kanti. So we immerse ourselves inside of a view, a, 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 a typical, like a kind of a view. We based on that. Probably it might not be the truth. Buddha says here how it is not actually, how it is not be the truth. Before that, let's try to see what is this acceptance of a view after deliberation, and the the view and the true truth, view and the true nature. Uh, I think there is this popular simile that one day there was a group of blind men, and there was a king, and the king wanted to uh, do experiment. So king brought an elephant, the elephant simile. So king asked these born blind people to catch the elephant and tell me about who is an elephant. What is elephant like? So what this group of people did was that they are born blind, so touched the elephant. Some of them touched the trunk and said, "Oh, the elephant is like a tree branch or something like that." And then the other blind person touched the belly of the elephant and said the elephant is like a wall. And another blind person touched the leg of the elephant and said the elephant is like a post. And another tail of the elephant and said, "Oh, elephant is like a vine." Now king can see the elephant correctly because the king can observe the elephant because of the sight, so eyesight. But the blind people said, "Oh, elephant is like a wall, and elephant is like a tree, or like a vine, or like many things." However, they touched because they couldn't see. Then what happened was that these born uh, blind people started to a quarrel, started started a argument, and they said, "No, no, you didn't know about the elephant. I know about the elephant." So all of these start up a kind of a clash. It's because none of the born blind people see the elephant as it is. But the king could see the elephant as it is. So this is similar to taking up the views. If we haven't seen the true reality, but if we rely on just a mere view, and if we limit into that view and won't investigate, it can block us to attain the true understanding in within. So because of this reason, Buddha says that you don't say that whatever that you take as faith, endorsement, oral transmission, reason train of a thought, or acceptance of a view after deliberation as the ultimate truth. Don't take those as an ultimate truth because there is much more to investigate. Buddha says to that man this way, even though you have full faith in something, it may be vacuous, hollow, and false. And even if you don't have full faith in something, it may be true, real, and not otherwise. Even though you fully endorse something, something may be well transmitted. It can be well transmitted. Something may be well thought out. Something may be well deliberated. It may be vacuous, hollow, and false. And even if something is not well deliberated, it may be true, real, not otherwise. For a sensible person who is protecting the truth, this is not sufficient to come to the categorical conclusion. It's not sufficient to go for a categorical conclusion, this is the only truth, anything else is futile. Because the Kalpatika, the man said that they are teachers that are claiming that this is the only truth. And then Buddha questions, why do you say it is the only truth? Then this man said that it is because that we have faith on that. And then Buddha says that faith can be the trust that you carry can be like having two-way false, or that you might not have faith on the truth. Who knows? So the faith alone won't be the perfect, like the complete conclusion to understand something. Then he says, the Buddha goes on to say a few more things, such as the endorsement and the thought, reasoning of the thought, and also like the oral transmission, so on. So he says that those are the five things that we face, that we find out before we go to the truth. Because the Buddha said that it is not the way to preserve the truth, so this man asked, but worthy Gautama, Gautama means the Buddha, how do you define the preservation of truth? Preservation of truth. Kittavata panabo Gautama, Sachanu Rakkana Hoti. Sachanu Rakkana Hoti. So Buddha says, if a person has faith, they preserve the truth by saying, such is my faith. But they don't yet come to the categorical conclusion, this is the only truth, anything else is futile, anything else is empty, only this is the truth. They don't conclude that way. They say instead, such is my faith. If a person has a belief, or has received an oral transmission, or has a recent reflection about something, or has accepted a view after contemplation, they preserve the truth by saying, such is the view I have accepted after contemplation. But they don't yet come to the categorical conclusion, this is the only truth, anything else is futile. That's how the preservation of truth is defined, Bharadwaja. I describe the preservation of the truth as defined in this way. So that is how you can protect the truth. Because those things can appear to be as truth, but don't go immediately for a judgment without investigating. This is not yet the awakening to truth. So Buddha gives the next hint to ask the question. Buddha says, that way you protect the truth, but it is not still that you come to the awakening, realization to the truth. So this man says, that's how the preservation of truth is defined, worthy Gautama. We regard the preservation of truth as defined in this way. But worthy Gautama, how do you define awakening to the truth? Literally, which means how do you find the truth? How do you realize the truth? Now, Buddha says, according to the Buddha's perspective, how a person can reveal and discover the truth in within, how this person can find out the true teachings, like the true nature of the life in within. This can be applied to anyone because this was said to the Brahmins. So this can be anyone who possesses a mind, who possesses the life, the body. So because it shows about how to investigate and find out the true nature of the life. Now Buddha says this, Bharadwaja, take the case of a mendicant living supported by a town or a village. Now there is a teacher living in a town or a village, supported by that town or the village. A householder or their child, which means a norm like the ordinary person, approaches that mendicant. Mendicant means that in this case the monk. or a Brahmin. A householder or their child approaches, go to visit, and scrutinizes them for three kinds of things. Now, this is the moment the wisdom start to bloom. This is the moment that wisdom start to arise. What is the moment? That this person get to hear, the ordinary person get to hear that in that place, in such a town, such a village, there is a mendicant, a teacher. So the householder go there and scrutinizes, which means examines, analyzes, and investigates. That's the activity of the wisdom. So one scrutinizes. If a person possesses the wisdom, this person can freely scrutiny for three kinds of things. This is what that person go and observe and find out and investigate and scrutinize. Things that arouse greed, things that provoke hate, and things that promote delusion. This person go and find out about this teacher regarding the greed. If this teacher has greed, if this teacher has hate, or if that teacher has delusion, or if this teaching has such things. Why? What is the reason? Because that is the problem we have. The ignorant person has the problems with the greed, with the hate, and with the delusion. If we collect entire our life, if we look at our complete life, we can find out whatever the pain that we had, whatever the suffering that we had, is based on greed, or else on hate, or else on delusion. If you conclude your life into one thing, you can put into three things. It can categorize to greed, or hate, or delusion. We are talking about the pain, suffering. If we were to suffer inside, it can be because that we had excessive greed. We had unnecessary greed for something. That's why we have lack of mindfulness. That's why it bring us at the end pain. It might be because that we spoken something hatefully to another that we regret, or that it led gradually to something painful. Or it can be delusion. Delusion means that our confusion, that our lack of the knowledge of the life. In a technical terms, we can say lack of the knowledge of the Four Noble Truths that causes us that delusion, so that we never know what was going on in the life. So what this person does is, after going to a teacher that investigates and scrutinizes, if this person teach me about the greed, hate, or delusion. If this person possesses the greed, hate, and delusion. So it was said in here. Let's go over the sutta. So this person, again, a householder or their child approaches and scrutinizes them for three kinds of things: things that arouse greed, things that provoke hate, and things that promote delusion. Does this venerable have any qualities that arouse greed? Such qualities that were their mind to be overwhelmed by them? They might say that they know even though they don't know, or that they see even though they don't see, or that they might encourage others to do what is for their lasting harm and suffering. So this person investigate that way, exactly that way, according to that way. So let's say there is a teacher that's saying, so I don't um, it's not good to have anger, but they misses the teaching not to what you do to not to have anger. Let's say a teacher says that don't get greed, but this teacher lack how to abandon the greed, teaching on how to abandon the greed. So this person, the ordinary person, scrutinizes. Or is that person is just merely limited to the words but not doing the practice and claim that this person about that not to have greed, not to take hate, not to take delusion? Does that person misses that teaching or not following the teaching? So this person find out, are they truly know that or see that? Which means actually that scrutiny is regarding that person's experience, if that person really experienced that. Scrutinizing them, they find this venerable has no such qualities that arouse greed. Rather, that venerable has bodily and verbal behavior like that of someone without greed. So, still, that ordinary person can observe the expressions through the body and verbal actions, which means the virtue. Through the virtue, that we can get to know about whether this person possesses the greed or not possessing the greed. And the principles that teach is deep. Is this person teaching me deep teachings? Hard to see, hard to understand, peaceful, sublime, beyond the scope of logic, subtle, comprehensible to the astute. So, this is the way that we start up our wisdom. This is the way that we start to investigate the teacher. So normally when we go to the teachings, there can be books, there can be discussions, there can be videos, there can be other teachers teaching many topics and many concepts. If we lack the wisdom to know exactly what this person teaching me and what I really want, we would like confuse. We would lost our purpose. We would lose our direction. We would be like thinking that we are having mindfulness, we would be distracted and we would find out like external things to validate about our doubt. Still, that could be the doubt. Okay. So, what is the purpose of the life is to find out something that abandons the greed, hate, and delusion. Then, if we see a teacher, but first we don't accept out of faith, merely by faith, okay, this is the teacher, I will listen whatever teach. No, Buddha says to investigate in you and investigate the teaching and the teacher also, teacher's actions. So this person thinks it is not easy for someone without greed to teach this. Scrutinizing them in this way, they see that they are purified of qualities that arouse greed. Next, they search them for qualities that provoke hate. Does this venerable have any qualities that provoke hate? Such qualities that were their mind to be overwhelmed by them, they might say that they know even they don't know, or that they see even though they don't see, or that they might encourage others to do what is for their lasting harm and suffering. Scrutinizing them, they find this venerable has no such qualities that provoke hate. Rather, that venerable has bodily and verbal behavior like that of someone without hate. And the principle that they teach is deep, hard to see, hard to understand, peaceful, sublime, beyond the scope of logic, subtle, comprehensible to the astute. It is not easy for someone with hate to teach this. Scrutinizing them in this way, they see that they are purified of qualities that provoke hate. Next, they scrutinizes them for qualities that promote delusion. So this the same way it goes for all the way to the delusion and investigate about the delusion, and then they find out, oh, this teaching doesn't have teaching about the delusion. This teacher doesn't teach to me to be confused, to be deluded. So then, this investigating led them to a special quality. Scrutinizing them in this way, they see that they are purified of qualities that promote delusion. So this normal ordinary person found out this teacher is not teaching me greed, anger, delusion. Instead, teaching me something to abandon greed, abandon delusion, abandon anger. Next, what they do, they place faith in them. So this person now place the faith on that teacher. For what sake this person placed the faith, establishes the faith on that teacher? Because that they saw, that this person saw this teacher teaching me something to abandon these unwanted thoughts, these root causes of suffering. Now that faith has a base, that faith has a foundation. When someone asks, why do you have faith on that teacher? This person has something to say. This person know that I have faith on this teacher because the teacher I investigated, I scrutinized, I examined, I observed very carefully about this person's verbal and bodily actions. I investigated the teachings. It is so subtle, it's so hard to understand, it's out from the logic, it's very powerful, based on abandoning the unwholesome thoughts, unwholesome qualities. So this person has a base for that person's faith. There is a root for that person's faith. It is not just mere because the teacher is beautiful, has a beautiful appearance, because the teacher's voice is beautiful, teaching me beautiful voice, like the beautiful things, or maybe that it is that the teacher has a beautiful like a monastery or a temple. Those are not the places that we normally establish our faith, but we establishes the faith onto the teachings, onto the onto the teachings that this person teaches, and onto the dhamma that person possesses. So they place faith in them. Here the faith means the trust. This person now trust. Why does this person trust? Because that person started a personal investigation. This person started to scrutinizing. This person allowed that person's wisdom to show up the truth in within the teacher and the teaching. Okay, so next they place faith in them. When faith has arisen, they approach the teacher. Now the nature of the faithful person is that we don't need to go and tell the person, okay, now it is time to go to find the teacher. You go and associate with the teacher. We don't normally need to tell them, like you go and see the teacher. No, it is natural that this person approaches to the teacher. Why? This person really has a deep urge to let go these painful things because this person has a deep trust. So the faith actually brings the person near the noble friend, the teacher. When faith has arisen, they approach the teacher. So we don't need to ask this person, please come to the meditation. Please come to the retreat. Please come to the Dhamma talk. Please come to this mindfulness teachings. The faith brings them. Faith brings this person near the teacher. Then they pay homage. Paying homage doesn't mean that we go and pay homage to everyone we see. and do respect to everyone we see according to this perspective, but that person pay the homage to the person who teaching about letting go the anger, letting go the greed, letting go the delusion. For what purpose? Actually, to take that teaching up to us, to the person, to the ordinary person. That's the way that it can easily travel inside. Because if we don't have the homage or the respect to the teacher, our ego blocks enter into the teachings. So ego is actually the delusion. Ego is the delusion. So the delusion is possessing us as long as we don't pay homage, as long as we don't pay respect to the teacher. It is the delusion. So no way that we can abandon the delusion if we don't if we don't respect to the teacher. So that is why Buddha says not that Buddha wanted to demand a um, kind of a benefit or kind of a respect to him, but it was actually because that Buddha wanted us to abandon the delusion and reduces the ego. So they pay homage. And there is, after paying the homage, there is a special quality next. That person actively listen. These are dependent. This is dependent origination. One by one, dependent to the other one. Has the faith, they approach the teacher. When they approach the teacher, they pay homage. When they pay homage, they will actively listen because there is inspiration in them. It's not blindness. Why? Because we started without having blindness by putting the investigation, putting the scrutiny. Then this person actively listens. We don't want to tell that person, please listen what I'm saying, please listen to the teachings, please actively listen, don't make noises, but focus to the Dhamma talk, focus to the teaching. No, that person naturally actively listens. Why? Because there is this starvation of the knowledge inside of that person to let go these negative things. So actively listen. When that person actively listen, hear the teachings. Now this person, because of lend in the ears, hear the teachings very mindfully. And then this person won't let it go from the memory. That person keep it in the memory. Remember the teachings. That person won't forget. Why they won't forget? Because that person has faith, approach to the teacher, paid homage, actively listened, heard the teaching, so remember the teaching. And now this person alone examine their meaning, what this person said, examining that meaning and accept them after deliberation. Again, that person go to that accepting after the deliberation because still it's not understanding correct like deeply. It's just depend on that external things. We are using external things to discover the internal truth. So still keep on examining. For an example, let's say this person had the faith on a teacher who taught about the loving kindness, the metta. So that person approach because of the faith on the metta that teacher had. Then pay homage and then actively listen. Oh, this person taught me to practice loving kindness. Then hear the teachings and remember the loving kindness. Now examine the meaning of the loving kindness. What exactly is loving kindness? What happens if I have loving kindness? So keep on examining. Then they will have kind of an acceptance of the loving kindness after deliberation because that person examined. Okay, I will accept this because this is like looks like a good thing. This seems like a good thing to do, like a positive thing to do. So this person accept that. Then what happens is that the enthusiasm springs up. because that person accepted out of faith, out of trust and respect and remembrance. Now this person accepted it. Now the enthusiasm springs up. So enthusiasm means that this person stand up, put the energy, put the effort to do this. To do what? To remove the anger through the loving kindness. Keep on doing loving kindness meditation. They apply the zeal. So this person put the energy and weigh up, which means this person like balance, which means this person weigh up means actually here weighing up means that we will come to that point to understand later. Weighing up means this person can reflect and get to know about the days that this person had anger. And after doing the loving kindness meditation, this person sees the anger fade away. So this person reflect and try to balance, try to know about that. And then strive. So this person again put the more and more energy. Weighing up and striving go together. So this person remembered the teaching of loving kindness and accepted it and put the effort, enthusiasm, here the enthusiasm, and then this person is to start to meditate and now weigh up. Weigh up means this person thinks in my life earlier that I had a lot of anger, but after doing loving kindness, now I have a different life. So this person weighing up that. And now what happens is that this person's striving become more powerful. This person get a deep like urge to go to the complete practice. So strives. Striving, they directly realize the ultimate truth. Because of this striving, that person understand the ultimate truth. Because of the continuous like practices, that person understand the ultimate truth. So it is not that because the teacher said us that you attain the ultimate truth, so because of that you are awakened. It's not someone else is saying us, but it depend on our own striving, how much that we put our energy to understand this, because it is the truth, because the teaching is the truth. That's why all we need is the energy to understand that, not being lazy, keep on meditating. So that is what actually uh, led us to realize the ultimate truth. Buddha said they directly realize the ultimate truth and see it with penetrating wisdom. So this person understand with penetrating wisdom, which means deep wisdom. This person now know the true nature of the loving kindness. Now, whoever tells them, if they really understand loving kindness, won't have a doubt. Why? Because this person penetrated that through the wisdom. Before we end the discussion, let's say the impermanence, that's the way that I wanted you to understand the impermanence. Let's say someone says to you, the teacher, about the impermanence, you establish faith on him or her, whoever teach you. When faith has arisen, they approach to the teacher who teach about the impermanence and pay homage, actively listen to the impermanence and hear the Dhamma talk on impermanence and remember the teaching. When they remember the teaching, they don't want to live together with the teaching teacher forever. So as long as they possess in the memory, now remembers the impermanence. Now try to understand the impermanence inside, in the body, in the feelings. Examine their meaning. So there is a meaning behind the impermanence. Next, they accept them after deliberation because they examined. Now they can easily accept what is impermanence because they understood the meaning. Impermanence means arising, vanishing, and changing. Now, what happens is that their energy starts off, enthusiasm springs up. They apply zeal, they weigh up and strive. They keep on striving their energy over the understanding of the impermanence, which means do more and more meditations on impermanence. They directly realize the ultimate truth. Ultimate truth is the impermanence. So that person directly realize. So there is impermanence. And see it with the penetrating wisdom. That person gets the knowledge that surpasses through the wisdom that there are everything which is impermanent. If someone were to tell externally a friend or someone to them, oh, whether you think that way, the things are impermanent, that is wrong. Someone would tell them that is incorrect. Everything are permanent. They won't accept that. Why? Because they have seen it through the penetrating wisdom. If things are impermanent, things are subject to change. Okay? Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. The other part next week. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.